And I am back. Hope you guys had a nice little break there. And now we are ready to finish this, hopefully this trial time up. Like I said, I'd like to at least knock that out. Let me actually go ahead and take a look at the... I was looking at a guide for this the other day. Not to spoil myself on things, mind you, but more to figure out the structure of the case and like how long this whole thing was going to take. Rise from the Ashes guide. Because I think there are like 7 parts to this thing. They split up the individual, like rather interestingly, they do split up like the different pieces of what's what I'm looking for. Yeah, the trials are split it into former and latter a bunch of different times. We are currently on day 3 trial former. Then there's day 3 trial latter, day 3 investigation, day 4 trial former, day 4 trial latter, day 4 trial latter 2. Oh God. We got some work to do. We have some work to do. Oh, no. We'll see. We'll see how we're doing there. Just got to keep going. Just gotta keep cooking, guys, is all I'm going to say about that one if we're going to finish this on Sunday. Oh, boy. Oh, boy, no. All right, well, ain't no time like the present. Let's keep cooking. Mystery Man 2. There's one other thing that proves the man was Detective Goodman, sir. To enter the evidence room, one must use their ID card. When an ID card is used, there's a record of it. At the time of the crime, the detective had used his card.
An ID card record, I see.
I have the ID card record right here, Your Honor. Yeah, we filled in everybody but the first one. The ID used at 5:14 is that of the victim.
Just before the crime, Yes, without a doubt, this is the victim's ID. However, one thing does strike me as unusual. Several hundred cases should have been due for transferal. Why were there so few people using this room?
This particular evidence room is only used for storing certain special cases. Special cases? A lot of people are leaving. Oh, I mean, it's late. You know, I kind of gave people a natural sort of fall off moment or time to do it. So, you know, I don't mind. I needed to get water and use the bathroom. So if people needed an excuse to head out, that's totally fine. I ain't going to stop them. Such is the game. Special cases? Extremely violent cases involving police staff. Just hearing that makes my hair stand on end. Me too, although it doesn't make much of a difference. He made a self-deprecating joke because his hair's spiky. Anyway. There are only a few cases up for transfer there, and most were cleared up by noon. By the way, I guess just for full disclosure, when I do take breaks, you might notice, those of you who are not subscribed to the channel, I do run ads during that time. Usually just a 1-minute ad for what it's worth. I do run it there because, number one, there's literally nothing happening on screen, and I'm not going to start up again until after the ad's over. But number two, if you do run ads on Twitch, you know how you got an ad when you first joined the stream? That quote-unquote pre-roll ad? If I run an ad during the break for 20 minutes, people who are coming in don't have to watch ads at all. That's the reward Twitch gives as a bit of incentive to run ads, controlled ads on your channel from time to time. I don't tend to run ads. I think a pre-roll is fine, and then you can watch for 3 hours and not see a single other ad. But yeah, no, it's only a 20-minute buffer per minute of ads. So I took a 4-minute break there. If I ran 3 minutes of ads during that time, it would give me a full hour where it didn't run, if that makes sense. Of course, if you do subscribe, by the way, if you do get ad-free viewing, but again, I don't run ads while things are happening on screen, so it's not really a big deal unless you're just on principle extremely anti-ad. Anyway, there to give you an explanation if you're like, hey, what happened there?
Right, I see. Now let us move on to the cross-examination.
Mystery Man 2. Proves Detective Goodman to use the evidence room. One must use their ID card. Let's dig into that. Is that card hanging from your neck one of those ID cards? Yes, sir! This card right next to my cuff, sir! Your Netflix account runs ads. Ah! God, I hate the fact that streaming services are like, yeah, we can pay money, and also we're going to show you ads anyway. I keep it here so I won't ever forget it. But what if someone were to steal it from you, keeping it out in the open like that? Maybe I shouldn't wear it around my neck. Remember when I said I was 2 out of 3 times my tie gets stuck when I get out of my car? Well, the remaining time, it's my ID card that gets stuck. Instead of the door closing, my ID card chokes me. Maybe we should just leave this one alone. At any rate, each police officer only has one ID card. But both the police department and the prosecutor's office can attest to this.
Please proceed with your testimony.
There's a record of it, yeah. At the time of the crime, the detective had used his card. Earlier, I believe you testified that when you asked the man to show his ID card, he pulled a knife on you. Yes, sir! He didn't show me any ID card, sir! Don't you think that's odd? I mean, if he had his ID card, all he had to do was show it to you. There wouldn't be any reason to draw a knife. Maybe he just panicked? Everything stems from contradictions. Let's point them out. Mr. Wright, what do you think? I'm confused. What? The problem with his ID card testimony is far too obvious. It's not like Edgeworth to miss something like this. You're thinking too hard about it. Come on, let's show him what we got. Just to check, though. I know, I keep thinking about, like, he'd pound his wounded hand and go, ah! Unless the issue is that we have his ID card. We could try presenting that. It was correct. What console is this on? I'm playing this on PC, but I think... What? It's on this. It's on the Switch. It's on... I think you can get it on mobile? Originally, it was for the Nintendo DS, of course. I played it on the Wii U back the first time that I streamed this, I think. You pay for you. I also am a YouTube premium guy because I love watching giant YouTube videos, and I don't want ads kicking in every few seconds. No more. I know Netflix has been real mean about that. I used to use my parents' Netflix account forever. The only reason we're still subscribed is because I want to watch British Bake Off when it comes out. Wait one moment, Officer Meekins. I'm not good at waiting, sir. Oh, sure, that too, Sierra. I have the victim's ID card right here. I found it at the crime scene.
That makes sense.
When I say crime scene, I'm not referring to the evidence room at the police department. I mean the other crime scene. The underground parking lot at the prosecutor's office. Yeah, Edgeworth doesn't seem to care about this. Your Honor, I have one more piece of evidence to present. It's a very important clue regarding the victim's ID card.
A lost item report. It's only half completed.
But it shows that Detective Goodman had lost something on the day of the crime. Something important enough to fill out this report. Let me guess. You believe this something to be his ID card, right? I can't say for sure, but there is a high probability. On the day of the crime, Detective Goodman was not carrying his card.
Order! Order! So now, what does this all mean?
It can only mean one thing. It doesn't even require much thought. The man Officer Meekins encountered in the evidence room was not Detective Goodman, but rather the man who stole his ID card. Love Meekins' little silhouette, or little profile.
Order! 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 Does the prosecution have a response?
Large population of fairy penguin can be found in Tasmania. Well, thank you. I also use YouTube Premium for the music as well, and podcasts, and I'm fully entrenched in the Google ecosystem, even if it's not a good thing. I've only one thing to say to the defense. Bravo, Mr. Wright.
Bravo?
Allow me to summarize the defense's argument. At 5:15 on the day of the crime, the man in the evidence room Officer Meekins encountered was not Detective Goodman. There are two grounds to support this. First, the locker in the evidence room was already unlocked. Second, the victim lost his ID card. Am I correct so far, Mr. Wright? Yes. What's he up to? That being the case, we must inevitably arrive at a single conclusion. If the victim in this video is a fake, then the murder in the evidence room is also fake. In other words, the security camera does not show the instant of the murder. That is, well, I guess that's right. I enjoy those, yeah. Making cookies? What kind? There's something wrong, Mr. Wright. Only moments ago, you seemed content to be pointing your finger around. This isn't going to end well. Well. Seems you finally realized exactly what you've gone to such lengths to prove.
Explain yourself, Mr. Edgeworth.
The defense has already done the explaining for me. The victim in this video is a fake, which means a murder did not take place at the police department at 5:15 on the day of the crime.
So
the real crime could only have taken place at one location, the underground parking lot at the prosecutor's office. The murderer being Miss Lana Skye, the defendant. The evidence is compelling. A trustworthy witness observed the moment the defendant used the murder weapon. Ah! 3D video! Yeah, for this case in particular. This is kind of a tech demo for future Ace Attorney, more or less. I knew that testimony was way too shabby. It was all a trap from the beginning.
the activity in the evidence room still leaves many questions unanswered. Who exactly was the victim Officer Meekins encountered? And where did this person disappear to? However, this trial's purpose is to examine only the murder of Detective Goodman.
Just so, Your Honor.
Mr. Wright, you have to do something, or else Lana...
What do I do?
How am I supposed to get myself out of this mess? Object!
Objection! Why not?
One moment, Your Honor.
What now, Mr. Wright? Don't tell me you're objecting to what you've just proven.
Of course not. But I almost walked right into the prosecution's trap.
Yep. What'd I just do? Hold on. I clicked out of the game by accident. What are you talking about?
This cross-examination has proven one thing and one thing only. The security video did not show the actual murder. Yeah, unfortunately, they very intentionally don't have his face ever in the scene. However, it cannot be said that it is unrelated to the murder in the parking lot. Specifically, large amounts of blood traces were found in the evidence room. The defense demands further examination into the truth of the matter.
Mr. Edgeworth,
Yes, Your Honor.
if this court were to examine this further, other witnesses will be necessary. Is the prosecution prepared?
I'm sorry, Your Honor. The prosecution considered the incident at the police department to be unrelated. They have not prepared any other witnesses for this incident. This might be my chance. Time to call a certain Texas Ranger to the stand.
Mr. Wright, do you mean?
Your Honor, the defense would like to request a specific witness.
Oh? Well, whom do you have in mind?
Someone we have reason to believe knows the truth. The truth behind the activities that took place in the evidence room. The prosecution requests to hear this person's name before deciding whether or not to comply.
Very well then. Mr. Wright, this person whom you would have testify, what is his or her name?
Jake Marshall. Officer Jake Marshall. Why him? Can't let Edgeworth know everything just yet. He's in charge of the evidence room. Feel like we should hear what he has to say. The prosecution agrees to the defense's request. Since he was responsible for guarding the room, we should hear his testimony. Fortunately, he works in the police department. We shouldn't need longer than 20 minutes to prepare.
Very well. The court will take a 30-minute recess while the witness is subpoenaed. Will the prosecution please prepare the witness during this time?
We will, Your Honor.
Court is now in recess.
Edgeworth was pretty chill about that, not gonna lie. You're just like, yeah, no, actually, that does sound like a reasonable thing to do. Why not? Cool. Hey, Z-Mice, how you doing? February 24th, 11:32 a.m. District Court, Defendant Lobby Number 2.
There's no stopping you, is there, Mr. Wright?
Huh? What do you mean?
You called for Jake Marshall. It seems you figured out everything out.
I haven't figured out anything.
Lana, you're the one who knows everything. Emma, you always know everything. Why don't you just tell us? Mr. Wright is trying his hardest to protect you. I don't recall ever asking for his protection.
I mean, we're your defense, so, you know.
How can you be so cold? Don't you trust us? Don't you trust me?
I hope I'm not interrupting anything, pals. Guess I am. I'll come back later. Well, wait, Detective Gumshoe, what is it? You got a lot of nerve, pal, making the detective run around all while on duty. Duty. Shadow Yodel, the Shadow the Hedgehog games. That is very weird. I do agree. How to switch between voices so quick and easy? Practice more than anything else. And also permanent, minuscule but permanent damage to my voice over time. And to top it all off, you call me here. I've seen happy people at funerals.
Sorry, Detective.
You better be, pal. Hey! I didn't see you there, Chief Prosecutor Sky. What was that? That was a lot of haze. I was not hitting enter. It was just spamming him out.
That's okay. So, have you brought what I asked?
You mean this, right?
My apologies, Detective. Due to my present circumstances, I was forced to use Mr. Wright's name when making my request.
My name? Never in a million years would I thought it was you who asked me. Could I bother you to bring me the SL9 incident files? I'll need them by noon. Talk about crazy. The SL9 incident?
But Lana, I thought Mr. Wright might need them, so I had them brought here. Here, you might do well to read them.
I can't believe you, the chief prosecutor, were a witness in that case.
Miss Sky was a witness? Files for the Joe Dark killings solved 2 years ago.
Take it from me. You don't want anything to do with serial murderers. Oh, what? Now that I brought you your stuff, you're just gonna ignore me?
Emma, but why? Why is your name in here?
What? My name's in there? I don't know, unless... No, it couldn't be. Lana, this SL9 incident, is that... That's the classification number the police filed it under. 2 years ago, the rest of the world knew it as the Joe Dark killings. The Joe Dark? No. No, Lana! That's over with! No!
Emma, wait! She ran away.
You know what? I just remembered I, gotta be somewhere. Sorry, pal, but I'm out of here. Boom!
Did like the full like Hanna-Barbera like... Hey, family friendly. Still remember you. Well, thank you. I'm glad to be still remembered from time to time. Rest them chords after this. It's my job to use my voice, and sometimes it hurts, but that's it. That is my choice. Well, or rhyme about my vocal trauma. Jake Marshall, Angel Starr, Damon Gant, Miles Edgeworth, not to mention Lana and Emma. Everyone involved in this case is connected to those killings 2 years ago. This can't be just a coincidence.
Knowing you, you might just be able to figure it out. Time to get back to the trial, Mr. Wright. Best of luck.
I better take a good look at this file. To be continued. Right now, please, we're going to keep going. If it hurts, you're doing it wrong. That's correct. You shouldn't do a voice that hurts you immediately. However, you keep doing voices for a while. It doesn't matter how good you are at keeping yourself safe. Eventually, it starts to do damage. That's why, like in the booth, if you're if you're a union voice actor, you cannot do any more work per day than 4 hours. Like that's part of the gig. You're not supposed to do more than 4 hours of vocal work. Because any more than that, and it could do permanent damage. Save your progress up to this point, which is why I do minimum 7 hours of vocal work a day. Let's keep going. February 24th, 12:14 p.m. District Court, courtroom number 9.
The court will now reconvene for the trial of Miss Lana Sky.
Emma didn't come back.
Allow me to call the next witness to the stand. The officer in charge of guarding the evidence room on the day of the crime.
But yes, no, that's why when people ask like, why don't you do marbles more often? And I always mention that I have to have like my voice in a good spot. Why I frequently am not in a good spot to do marbles. You know what I mean? Audiobook work. Yeah, I mean that's the one that involves the, other than streaming, especially games like this, is the one that I do the most consistent talking for, right? I sometimes liken the work that we do for AFMAO as more like playing American football, where it's like wind sprints. We do really intense little bits, but only for only for a few minutes at a time. Whereas this and the audiobook is sustained marathon talking. Bella Parade ground style to the bus when needed. Sure. The only problem, as you know, though, I used to teach, right? And so I sometimes learned that, yeah, just being louder than everyone else can be really helpful. But it also just tells them to get louder. And also it hurts over time. I actually had to take lessons on how to not hurt my voice while teaching, because that's the problem. trans person changing their voice all day. I mean, even with hormone replacement therapy, like you still have to do usually kind of vocal training in order to feminize or masculinize your voice. I don't know. Yeah, I've taken hours, days of vocal like lessons from coaches because you got to be careful.
Witness, please state your name and occupation. Me, partner? Oh, I'm just a man, same as you, wandering the trails of civilization. Occasionally helping the elderly cross intersections when needed. Yes, we get it.
Oh, I know. You're a patrolman.
Ezra, my name. If you listen hard enough, you can hear the howling wind calling it out. To be exact, it's Jake Marshall, Your Honor.
Howling wind? Never heard Edgeworth described that way before. How do you get a loud class attention without losing your voice? If you hear my voice, clap once. If you can hear my voice, clap twice. If you can hear my voice, clap 3 times. But you don't have to say it that loud. But as soon as you start clapping, all the kids start looking at you and you're like, what the heck is he doing? Oh, he's doing a thing. I'm gonna clap too. And then everybody gets quiet because they have to be able to hear you in order to do the claps. It's a good way to get a group's attention without necessarily having to scream. Doesn't work for all groups, but if you kind of build that expectation that you need their attention when you start doing that, then the kids know to, kind of listen up. It's nice. Because in case it isn't clear, I'm very good at being very loud if I need to be very loud, but I don't want to. Kindergartners had to be mic'd up. Oh, God. Oh, God. What, for clap time? You can keep doing it over and over again. I think the highest I ever got was 6 claps.
Now, Mr. Marshall, let me ask you something. You were in charge of guarding the evidence room on the day the crime took place.
I'm here. Stop clapping, please.
Is this correct?
Because eventually, also, another part of it is the kids start getting, annoyed at how much you're clapping and start peer pressuring fellow kids to start clapping along so you can move forward. That's really the most powerful tool, is shame from their fellow classmates, more than anything else. That is the most powerful tool of all.
According to the papers, partner.
He's got a knife. Take him down. What do you mean?
The desperado's soul is boundless as the desert with sands. No paper can sum it up.
Maybe it's best we get on with this quickly. Please share with us your testimony the day of the crime. In plain old English.
Day of the crime. Why did Marshall bring a knife with him in the courtroom? Because he's a cowboy.
My job is to keep an wary eye on that bone orchard. They said I was supposed to make rounds 3 times a day, but that ain't my style. Besides, room's protected by 2 security systems anyway. If I remember right, it was in the side street saloon at the time it went down. I'm just an innocent traveling man, so if you're out of ammo, it's time I hit the trail.
Can't say I particularly care for your attitude.
Can't say I care for your beard, but you don't see me complaining.
Wait a minute. What do you mean by 2 security systems?
I mean the security cameras and the ID card reader. I reckon even a cowpoke like you knows about those.
Yes, well, what about the fingerprint-activated locks on the evidence lockers?
Fingerprint-activated locks? What kind of newfangled doohickeys are those?
He's not being very helpful.
He's not that good with machines or following orders. Everybody's got their weaknesses now, don't they, Mr. Prosecutor?
This one seems like trouble. Okay, Mr. Wright, he's all yours.
All right, good night, Sticks. Hey, Meter. Welcome. Day of the crime. Keep away on the bone orchard, but he wasn't doing that. Room's protected by 2 security systems anyway. Let's press that. You used to be a detective, so you've used the evidence room in the past, correct?
Of course. Back in the day, my locker was a gold mine of evidence.
And yet, you didn't know about the fingerprint locking mechanism.
Sorry, partner. I ain't good with machines. Couldn't even tell you how a bike works.
That's quite incredible.
The sensors on the locker handles cannot be seen. It's well known that some detectives are unaware of their presence.
Now that he mentions it, Detective Gumshoe said something like that too.
At any rate, it doesn't seem like that this is relevant to the crime. Can you tell us what you were doing when the crime took place?
If I remember right, it was a street-side saloon at the time I went down.
Just drinking on the... What were you doing in a place like that?
I was eating spaghetti. Not even Angel's steak lunches can beat that Paris Vongole sepia pasta.
Do you mean to tell us you abandoned your police duties to eat some noodles? Cool.
Not all desperados eat tacos, partner.
That's not what I meant. I hope this has taught you a lesson.
That's strange. It's usually where Edgeworth says, "Did you not want a raise this year?" Yeah, are we just gonna fire? Well, let's press. Spaghetti tacos, I'm in.
I had actually tacos for dinner tonight. Taco Tuesday, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Is alcohol something allowed in a courtroom? Probably not. Out of ammo, Officer Marshall?
That's right, partner. Or as you'd call it, evidence. You plan to pin me into this crime, then you better draw. Otherwise, you're just wasting my time. My steel horse is waiting to carry me back west into the sunset.
One thing seems clear. Despite being responsible for guarding the evidence room, the witness doesn't appear to have seen anything.
Texans don't take orders from anyone. Everyone knows that.
Apparently your superiors don't. Okay, I have a trump card up my sleeve, so I best keep my cool. Before I use it, though, I better up the ante. No food or beverages allowed in the courtroom. That makes sense. Probably water, but yeah. But you made your rounds on the day of the crime, right?
Ain't you heard a word I said, partner? I told you it ain't my style.
I'm afraid I don't understand.
No desperado I know lets rules get in his way.
No desperados I know join the police force.
So, Officer Marshall, on the day of the crime?
Just between you and me, I didn't set room in the evidence room that day.
There was a rubber glove stuck in the victim's locker. Do you know anything about that?
Sorry, partner. Can't say I do. I haven't been in that crypt in weeks.
How's this guy avoid being fired? Wait, you said he hadn't been there in weeks, but we definitely have him marked for something relatively recent. I'm just gonna hit him for this? I don't know. I guess. Let's do it. Officer Marshall, doesn't it strike you as odd? That is, you being called in to testify like this? In fairness, he is a police officer, and so while it might be unseemingly to do so while on duty, officers kind of are above the law a bit. I don't know if you guys have noticed. At least a little bit. At least a little bit. Even the bad ones, especially the bad ones. Usually they're just kind of like, okay, you did that bad, but don't do it again. Rinse and repeat. After all, you weren't in the security room at the time of the crime. You killed a guy? Well, don't do it again. We're going to give you another job somewhere else, but you better be good this time. Doing good, Sierra, and I think the rest of the crew is doing well too. Thank you. After all, you weren't in the security room at the time of the crime. And yet you dragged me down here. Explain yourself, partner. It's quite simple. You left a very large trail behind at the scene. Or to be exact, a handprint. Listen real good, partner. Like I said, I'm the caretaker of that crypt. I pay my respects. That is, make my rounds about once a month. It's only natural my fingerprints would be in there. I'm sure it's even more strict, Dwayne, knowing Japan. Yeah, tips for voice acting. Check out that Streamlabs link. That is definitely more useful than anything I can provide to you in this moment, unless you have specific questions about voice acting. I only wish it were, officer. But you see, hi, Vampire Pro, your fingerprints were covered in blood. Yeah, it's because I keep shaving with this here knife. Sometimes it gets real messy.
Witness, what's the meaning of this? Your blood-stained fingerprints were at the crime scene?
The blood was wiped away. However, a luminol test clearly revealed this. Well, Officer Marshall?
Seems to me there ain't a person in this room with a head on his shoulders. I take it you have an explanation then, Officer Marshall, about the blood-stained fingerprints.
Very well, you may begin your testimony about your fingerprints found at the scene of the crime.
Do you think I might play Attorney Justice for All? Yeah. As soon as I get back from Zeldathon, in fact, I believe we will start Justice for All, because that's the second game, right? Bloodstained fingerprints.
Like I said, it's only natural for my fingerprints to be in that evidence room. One of them just happened to be at the same place with that blood-stained handprint. Murderer touched the locker where my fingerprint was by chance. The bloodstain and the fingerprint are completely unrelated. Oh, didn't you know the murderer was wearing gloves? See? I had nothing to do with it.
He slipped. Nobody said the man was wearing gloves. Hello, new name Sanadol. How you doing? Am I saying that right? And also, hi, Kai. How you doing?
The witness's explanation appears valid, although there's room for doubt.
Life wouldn't be fun without any doubt, partner.
No, I honestly, I think it'd be more fun.
The defense may now cross-examine the witness.
This guy's hiding something. I can feel it. Now's my chance to prove it. He's wearing fingerless gloves, you'll notice specifically, though. But also, yeah, think about it. We are the only ones that knew that the perpetrator was wearing gloves in the evidence room, because we did the luminol spray and the fingerprint stuff and found that it was just a solid mark. Right here. How do you know that?
I may be a loner, but I still do my job. I keep up on the reports. There was a blood stain at the scene, though thought to be left by the murderer.
That's right. It was found on Detective Gumshoe's locker.
However, no fingerprints were detected on that handprint.
Oh yeah, I think we tried that too.
So that would mean the murderer wearing gloves having to place their hand on top of Officer Marshall's fingerprint.
That's the only logical conclusion.
Can't let him squirm out of this one. Got to find something. Something decisive to tie Officer Marshall to this crime.
I think I have the contradiction. I'm just trying to figure out the best way to play out how that worked. Because we have two handprints, right? One from that was previously bloody and one that was not. For the fingerprint we got though, quote unquote, off of the very bloody handprint, the very visible one, had the pointer finger having blood on it. However, the blood or the handprint that went over Marshall's apparently did not get the pointer finger, which is kind of weird. I want to read about this. Thank you for the follow, by the way. Appreciate it. The chances of that happening are 1,000,000 to 1.
On the contrary, one could argue just the opposite. The chances of that not happening are 1,000,000 to 1. Get one thing straight, partner. You ain't gonna get no reward from me with a mere fingerprint. You wanna know why?
Unrelated?
They're as different as night and day. Kinda like cereal and cereal.
How'd you do that with your voice?
One's got to do with breakfast, while the other's a type of murder.
He's right. Although seemingly alike, they're totally different.
I don't see what homonyms have to do with this. I'm just gonna hit this and see what happens. It was wrong! Uh-oh! Uh-oh! Trailer for episode August? Cool. I didn't do it right! Ah, jeez. This is Trial Ladder, I think, yeah? Okay. Sorry, I just looked up what the piece I'm missing here. Oh, get it.
Not at all. Mr. Wright, please thank the...
I kept passing over the first bit of testimony here because I thought it was just kind of an introduction to the thing. But apparently I have to press this to get more information. That's what I'm missing. That's because, how did you put it? Pay your respects once a month?
Yeah, that's right. That and one more thing. That locker happens to be mine.
What? What do you mean?
I mean what I said. That's the locker I used when I was detective. The locker I still use. All that's in there now, though, is a heap of broken dreams.
I see.
It's strange that my prints weren't all over that locker.
Apparently his fingerprint data was never removed from the locker's programming. He must have been using the fingerprint lock all this time without ever knowing it. Whoa!
Are you starting to get the picture, partner?
The picture?
Is sealed blood. In the desert is just food for the buzzards. There's only one reality, and that's this.
The security tape.
So long as my trail isn't in there, you can't say otherwise.
Isn't getting us anywhere, Mr. Wright. Please consider carefully where you're going with this cross-examination.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now then, continue your testimony, Officer Marshall.
Yeah, he would be held in contempt, probably. If I had to guess. See you, Miss G Mama. Dr. Stone, is that the new, like, Parks and Rec, but in a hospital show that they're doing?
Too bad it wasn't me in that video, right, partner?
What do you mean by that?
You want to tie me to this crime, isn't that right, partner?
Was it anime? Never mind. About science! Never mind. What's that?
Sorry, we've been watching the Olympics a lot, and they've been talking about a new series, sitcom series. I just assumed for some reason.
If so, that video is the only direct evidence you have.
But that video is next to useless. It's full of blind spots.
Blind spots?
Restart the world and technology after most of the world gets turned to stone. No! It turned to stone. When you were gone, it turned to stone. Places you can't see. I turned to stone. The camera's panning back and forth. The floor isn't shown. If someone was familiar with the camera's position, they could leave the room without being caught on tape.
You don't have time for speculations, Mr. Wright. Well, Mr. Wright, you can show us evidence in this video that indicates Officer Marshall was present. Please do so now.
Very well. Allow me to point out your mistake, Officer Marshall.
Tread carefully, Mr. Wright. You might wind up being the one making the mistake. Now then, let's have another look at the video. Show us this incriminating evidence of the witness, Officer Jake Marshall.
Probably should have watched this a couple times already, but, it's fine. Oh, I think I know. I think I know. I just wanted to actually listen to the music that long. I hope you guys were okay with that. No, if you noticed, up until the very end of the video, there was no cloth here. But suddenly, at the very end of the video, there's suddenly a cloth sticking out of one Jake Marshall's locker. Take that! Bringing our attention back to the security camera is a mistake I'm afraid you'll soon not forget, Officer Marshall.
The days are short in Texas, and so are tempers. Could you sum up what you have to say in 8 words or less?
Very well. You can clearly be seen in this video. Well, not bad.
Exactly 8 words. Not bad, partner.
The key lies in a certain locker shown in the video. They even mentioned the fact that it would have to be someone who had extensive knowledge of the cameras. How about the person whose job it is to look at the cameras the whole time, right? That is a lot to do, ain't it?
That locker with the white cloth sticking out. That was the witnesses, I believe.
Now then, let's rewind the video a bit. All right, see Hop.
Oh, the white cloth. It's gone. What's the meaning of this, Officer Marshall?
M50, for such a situation, I'd probably find someone who also is ESL. Because English is my primary language, and I assume I don't necessarily know what kind of work you're looking for, but I'm a pretty unique case. I kind of found my one gig mostly on Twitter and Twitch. I haven't gotten a lot of professional work beyond the Athmow channel. But yeah, I'm sure surely there are plenty of VAs out there who started in one language and then worked their way into English. You should ask around. Otherwise, yeah, D. Bradley Baker's set of guidelines there are good, but I'm not necessarily certain if they would cover your specific case. When the crime took place, the white cloth wasn't there. Then it suddenly appeared. There's only one explanation. Officer Marshall, you were in the evidence room at the time of the crime. What's more, you opened your locker when the camera was turned away.
Order! Order! It would seem that...
Hold your horses. Sorry, partner, but you got the wrong man. So what if my locker was open? Doesn't mean I'm the one who opened it. Oh, boy. This man don't know. The murderer needed to hide something, so he opened the locker and stuck it in. Not my fault he happened to choose mine. Why's everyone staring at me like a wanted man?
This guy isn't just playing dumb. He really is dumb! I hate to rain on your parade, but you're the only person who can open that particular locker.
Oh, yeah? I call your bluff. You say open that locker. Now prove it.
Only the assigned detective's prints can unlock it.
Fingerprint sensor.
We talked about this earlier today. The lockers can only be opened by the detectives they belong to. What is he holding in his hand? Is that jerky? Yeah, Alejandro, I know he is Spanish speaking, but I don't necessarily know if he's ESL necessarily.
What kind of crazy talk is this?
Well, Detective Gumshoe did mention something about this. In any case, the locks aren't that obvious. There's even some people on the force that don't know about the fingerprint locks. So, Sheriff, what do you have to say in 8 words or less?
I only got one word for you, partner.
No! Order! 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 Witness, explain yourself.
This is a joke. It's the worst I ever heard.
I assure you this is no joke, Officer Marshall. Now then, please tell us what you were doing in the evidence room at the time of the crime.
Olay, please answer the question.
What is he now, a bullfighter? That's all right, Officer Marshall. I believe we can figure the rest out from here.
We can.
That was 9 words. He said 8 words and then said 1 word, right? Have a look at these floor plans. There's no place for someone to hide in the evidence room. Yet Officer Meekins didn't see Officer Marshall.
If that's so, then where was the witness?
It seems Mr. Wright has an answer.
That's right. The only possible conclusion.
Well, then let's hear it. Where was Officer Marshall at the time of the crime?
He was the quote-unquote victim. Officer Marshall was standing right here.
There, but that's where the victim, Detective Goodman, was.
Correct. Unless the man wasn't Detective Goodman. I believe the victim in this video is Officer Marshall.
It was you dressed up like Detective Goodman. I mean, Marshall does have that kind of sort of shaggy goatee going on.
But that's preposterous. Officer Meekins witnessed the detective at the crime scene. Once he saw the man's face, he'd know for sure.
May I point out, though, that Officer Meekins did not know Detective Goodman. He also testified about the man's reaction when confronted. When I entered the evidence room, I asked him to show us a card, sir. It's a picture ID, so one would imagine that it would not show the correct face. Yes, and how did Detective Goodman respond?
He suddenly pulled a knife on me!
Something about the officer's story puzzled me. If the man had his ID card, why didn't he just show it?
Yes, he would have needed it to enter the evidence room, so he must have been carrying it.
The answer is simple. He couldn't show it. As you can see, Detective Goodman's picture is on his ID card. Hello, Boneless Wings. How you doing?
Oh, I get it.
If he showed that, his cover would have been blown. Officer Meekins would have realized the man wasn't Detective Goodman. Do you have anything to say to this, Officer Marshall?
You got quite an imagination, partner. We got a term for that. It's called circumstantial evidence.
Circumstantial evidence? He's still denying it.
Gonna have to do better than that to break a detective. Unless you have hard evidence proving I dressed up as a victim. I can't say I particularly care for your uncooperative disposition. Can't say I care for your beard. You don't see me complaining.
Except this is the second time you said it, so I guess you are complaining now.
Well, Mr. Wright, do you have any evidence proving beyond a shadow of a doubt of this beard hater? That Officer Marshall dressed up as the victim?
Well, who am I kidding? I don't have anything like that.
I could see the fear in your eyes, partner. Seems you're the one who couldn't take the desert heat.
Ah, this can't be happening. So obvious he's the one. What can I do?
Looks like your lack of experience has finally been exposed. I'll pass on to you what someone told me when I was just starting out. When you've run into a wall with no place to go, return to the basics.
Welcome back, Paris. How you doing? The basics? For me, that would be what Mia used to tell me. Phoenix, try thinking outside of the box. I shouldn't look for proof that Officer Marshall was in disguise. But rather, I should look for evidence that came about because he was in disguise.
Why do you think this locker was open in the first place?
What do you mean? This one's not that hard. The question is not that he was in disguise. We know that he was in disguise. The question is, where did the disguise go?
There's no reason for Officer Marshall to open his locker at the time of the crime. Yet he did, despite the chance it might be discovered later as it has been.
Which means he didn't originally plan to open his locker.
According to the defense's argument, Officer Jake Marshall dressed up as Detective Goodman at the time of the crime. Then, after the crime was committed, he opened his own locker for some unknown reason.
It's really not that hard.
The fact that a white cloth is sticking out of the locker seems to indicate that he opened it in order to put the cloth inside.
Just Edgeworth kind of dragging him along the finish line here.
So just what exactly is this piece of cloth?
Perhaps the video is the key to all our unanswered questions. How many evidence? So this video is my only shot. Why is Edgeworth? Because especially as has been revealed by the end of the fourth case in the original Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, Edgeworth isn't evil. He's just a little severe, let's say. He's a little serious. And the only thing he hates more than us is people getting away with stuff.
He clearly spotted that that Marshall here is doing something, and he wants in. He wants to know what exactly this boy was up to.
Very well, let's take another look at the security tape. After committing the crime, the witness opened the locker to put away the white cloth. Please show us why the witness had opened this locker.
For the sake of this, I'm going to speed it up. Whoop. There it be. The problem with having a white coat is it gets so dirty so quickly. So dirty so quickly. Edgeworth is not so much of a villain as he is a rival, right? The villains are the murderers in these cases, or the murderers in these cases. The prosecutor is almost always just a rival, just a friend that you have yet to have fully made. Really, the only true villain prosecutor, if I remember correctly, is really like Von Karma. Manfred von Karma was like really the only like absolutely horrific prosecutor. Let's do that. For some reason, you disguised yourself as Detective Goodman and entered the evidence room, though I don't know what to what end yet. However, something unexpected happened. Officer Meekins barged in on you. When asked to show your ID card, you pulled a knife on him. It's also daughter of Karma. I don't know. She's not that bad. I like her. I like her a little bit. However, Officer Meekins panicked, and the white coat you were wearing was soiled with blood.
A bloody white coat?
You couldn't just walk out like that, so you hid the coat in your locker.
Not bad, partner.
Now then, Officer Marshall, are you ready to tell us the truth?
Looks like I underestimated y'all. I hope you're happy now, Mr. Edgeworth. 2 years ago, if you're only half as persistent as then as you are today, we all wouldn't have to be here now would we?
Officer Marshall, tell the court what you did. All of it.
All right. Seems the time has come.
Marshall's confession.
I had to do it that day. Couldn't just stand by and let it die. I stole the detective's ID and I dressed like him. I planned to take out the evidence. Wasn't expecting Officer Meekins. I knocked him out. He managed to escape. I knew which areas wouldn't be caught on the camera. There wasn't any murder in the evidence room at 5:15.
Because it was at 5:14, you fool!
So the supposed victim was really you?
There's one thing I still don't understand. Traces of a large quantity of blood were found on the floor of the evidence room. If no one was murdered, then how could that be? Officer Meekins managed to cut his own hand. My guess is he's the donor.
It was way too much blood for such a small donation. I don't know. It kind of feels like he's telling the truth. Are we just going to press our way through this?
Had to do it that day. Couldn't just let it stand by and let it die.
When you say it, you mean
You even have to ask, partner.
the SL9 incident.
2 years have passed since that case was closed. It was going to completely end with the transferal of that day. Not if I had anything to do with it. That incident's not over.
But what did you hope to accomplish by sneaking into the evidence room?
When a case is closed, only that case's lead detective can look through the evidence. I wanted to have a look at it myself one more time, no matter what the cost. I don't care what anyone says, partner. That case is mine.
But Officer Marshall wasn't in charge of that investigation. Why does he care so much about it?
That day was my last chance. That's why I stole the detective's ID card and dressed like him. I plan to take out the evidence.
Why did you disguise yourself as Detective Goodman?
I didn't make it look like Goodman was carrying out the evidence transferal. I'd be arrested for stealing evidence, which wouldn't get me in anywhere.
So you did it to fool the security camera.
And the detective's ID card.
I stole that the morning of the incident.
So that really was why Goodman started filling out the lost item report.
I returned his ID card. I left it on the floor in the prosecutor's office parking lot.
The ID card I found was left there by Officer Marshall.
So essentially, you managed to succeed despite your lack of foresight. What do you mean, partner? I mean the fingerprint-activated lock, of course. No matter how well you disguise yourself, you can't change your fingerprints. Under normal circumstances, you wouldn't have been able to open the locker yourself.
But he could because a rubber glove just happened to get stuck in the door. That means Detective Goodman must have opened the locker before Officer Marshall.
I wasn't expecting Officer Meekins. I knocked him out.
You pulled a knife on Officer Meekins and tried to drive him off?
Let's just say I was a little surprised. I only planned on being in the evidence room for no more than 5 minutes. Didn't think anyone would actually come in during that short time.
Officer Meekins certainly is a one-in-a-million type of person. Mistaking a detective for an intruder and demanding to be shown his ID.
I have to think a little more about his raise this year.
Why did Edgeworth get so much influence? Also, I mean, Meekins was right? Like, somebody was impersonating a detective trying to break into and steal evidence. Like, he was right to call that one out. Just saying.
Anyway, he threw himself at me and I ended up cutting him slightly. Sorry it had to turn out that way. With me knocking him out and everything.
Can someone trick a fingerprint scanner in some way IRL? Depends on the quality of the scanner. I mean, you could, in theory, like have, I don't know, like a prosthetic glove made, but a lot of them also kind of depend on like, what's interesting about it is some technology actually does require your human just kind of life in order to activate. Like your skin on a lot of like phone screens, for example, is the thing that works the best because it has capacitive, I think it's called. We as humans give off just a little bit of voltage every so often, a little bit of charge, in a way that other like things don't. By the way, what happened to your knife?
Oh, you mean this one?
Don't know what to say.
So you knocked Officer Meekins out and
managed to escape. I knew which areas wouldn't be caught on the camera.
So you did your research beforehand?
Those who go into the desert unprepared don't live long, partner. I didn't think it would make a difference, though. The security tape is erased every 6 hours. If all gone as planned, no footage would have been left. However, you bloodied your coat in your struggle with Officer Meekins. If someone was in the security room when I came out, the jig would have been up. I opened my locker and stashed it in there. What was Officer Meekins doing during that time?
What else? He was sleeping like a baby.
So what you're saying is on that day,
There wasn't any murder in the evidence room at 5:15.
I agree. 12 hours, maybe. 24 hours, even better. But 6? 6? I get that probably they have somebody on guard like 24 hours a day, but Lord. But the blood found at the scene certainly indicates a crime took place.
What are you, blind? The victim shown on that tape is me, and I'm not dead yet, partner. So you stole the evidence from the locker. Actually, no, I didn't. Why not? When I opened the locker, the evidence was already gone.
what? Mr. Edgeworth, where is that evidence?
It's still missing, Your Honor.
Uh-oh. Detective Goodman's locker was already empty. Someone else stole the evidence. Officer Marshall, may I ask you one thing?
Fire away, partner. It's a free country. Just remember, I'm also free to decide whether or not to answer.
No, you're not. This is a court of law. I mean, unless it's self-incriminating.
Why did you do this? Stealing a detective's ID, injuring a police officer. This is no small offense.
Moreover, you're an officer yourself, so have serious consequences. We may have to dock your pay for assaulting a police officer and stealing evidence.
Again, it's like, oh boy.
Can't just be forgiven with a simple cut and say,
Oh, there we go. Oh, big consequences now. Not that salary cuts are ever a valid solution. Thank you, game.
like I said, this isn't your case. This one's mine. And I'll do anything it takes to get an answer I'm satisfied with.
The witness has an unusual amount of zeal. Let's hear more. I like the cut of his jib.
I can't just forget the SL9 incident. You know why?
But that case was solved 2 years ago, wasn't it?
That's the reason the evidence was stored in the evidence room.
Joe Dark was convicted for his crimes. One thing I can say for sure is he deserved his sentence.
Remember the Joe Dark case? Involved serial murderers, didn't it?
I don't intend to complain about how it turned out. There's something that still bothers me. Something went down in the trial. Something no one will talk about.
What happened?
I don't know. That's what I'm trying to find out.
Why is he so concerned with the incident? Maybe I should present him with what I think his real reason is. Everyone involved here is related in some way to that case. We never looked at the files, period. That's my mistake. We definitely should have looked at the files. All right, here we go. Incident number SL9. Closed. Perpetrator Joe Dark. Crime, serial murder. Sentence, death. Victims, Edward Jones, Edith Kirby, Jeb Bates, Jason Knight, Rachel Moss, Neil Marshall. Head prosecutor Miles Edgeworth, witnesses Lana Skye, Emma Skye. Executive investigators Damon Gant, Lana Skye. Head investigator Bruce Goodman. Investigators Jake Marshall, Angel Starr. Well, I think we got that all figured out now, don't we? I know why now, sir. Oh, God. The keyboard's just falling apart, guys. Keys are just falling off by the second. There we go. Here we go. I don't know if I need a new one because it still works. I don't know. Maybe the keys, not the switches. The switches need to get replaced. I don't know if this is worth keeping though. If I need to replace all the switches, or just replace all the keys. I don't know. Maybe that's all I got to do. Officer Marshall, I think I understand. I think I know why you care so much about the SL9 incident.
Sounds like you've been sipping too much cactus juice, partner.
It's the quenchiest! I have the SL9 incident file here. The name Marshall is mentioned in here. In a list of murder victims. Neil Marshall. Are you related to this man?
Neil Marshall. Yeah, I'm sure you heard the name. 2 years ago. He received the same lousy prosecutor award you got.
What? A prosecutor?
Must be talking about the King of Prosecutors Award.
I remember. Prosecutor Neil Marshall. He handled the SL9 case before I did. That's right. He was killed. And the case fell into your hands.
What's his relation to you?
He was my brother. He was investigating the murders of the Damon Gant, and then the then Deputy Chief of Police. The group of detectives I was part of worked under them. We were desperate to prosecute the killer. Joe Dark. My brother fought Dark and was killed. That was the first time Dark left behind any evidence. That was all we needed.
Those eyes do look familiar, don't they?
He was arraigned and incarcerated. The case was finally closed. At least, according to the public records.
What do you mean?
My brother couldn't have been killed by Joe Dark. I knew my brother better than anyone. No one could have beaten him in a fight. And that's it? That's your reason for your insane actions? There's more to my brother's death than what the records say. No matter how much you try to hide it, you can't fool me.
Well, at least one thing's for certain. Now we know what happened at the police department on the day of the crime.
That was the last day the SL9 case could be reopened. Not satisfied with its resolution, Officer Marshall planned to steal the evidence.
Disguising himself as Detective Goodman, he entered the evidence room. Officer Meekins confronted him, so he rendered him unconscious and fled.
Yes, this mystery has finally been cleared up. No murder took place at the police department that day. The things that happen by chance never cease to amaze. At exactly the same time as the murder at the prosecutor's office, this fake murder was going on at the police department.
No, we wasted a whole day in court, ZMIce, on this. Thank you for the follow, by the way. Chance, it's got to be more than just that.
So if no one was murdered at the police department on the day of the crime, that means the murder in the prosecutor's office parking lot was the real one.
Which in turn means only one person could have committed the crime. Chief Prosecutor Lana Sky.
Oh, burpee, I'm sorry.
Chief Prosecutor Lana Sky.
But wait! A verdict hasn't been reached into yesterday's trial.
Which is why we examined the incident at the police department today.
But
There's only one reason the defendant was not convicted yesterday. There yet remained the mystery of the simultaneous murder at the police department. Seems to me, this boy's got the draw on you, partner. All the mysteries of the police department have been resolved. No doubt about it. A sole murder took place at the prosecutor's office. The only suspect is Lana Sky. And the testimony of one Miss Angel Starr is completely incontestable. You have a response. Make it a single word or less.
ah!
I rest my case.
Well,
It seems this trial has reached its conclusion. There's no room for doubt.
Well done, Mr. Wright. Thanks to you, I didn't need to waste my time disproving the alleged murder at the police department.
no doubt what I proved today is true. The apparent murder on the security camera's tape really was fake. But I didn't realize that would end up proving Lana guilty.
Now then, the time for the verdict has arrived. This court finds the defendant.
What?
Your Honor, wait!
Emma,
The defense has an objection. A scientific objection.
Those are the most serious kind.
Right?
what do you mean, Wright?
Mr. Wright. Why do you have a new small girl next to you?
Your Honor? In a sense.
Please, Your Honor, all I'm asking is for a minute of your time. Please hear me out. Mr. Edgeworth, please.
I don't want to leave any loose ends. You want a minute? I'll give you 3.
I was kind of in shock. I mean, finding out the SL9 incident referred to the Joe Dark killings?
Now that she mentions it, the names of both Sky sisters were in that file.
But that's when I figured it out. I mean, what Officer Marshall was trying to do that day. So I knew his fingerprint had nothing to do with the crime. That only left one thing. The other handprint.
You mean the traces of blood found in Detective Gumshoe's locker?
But no fingerprints were found on it, right?
No, but I figured if I examined it scientifically, I'd be sure to find a clue. So I ran over there and looked at it again.
Oh, that's right. She did run away as soon as she heard about the SL9 incident. Remember that? I forgot she hasn't been in here for like an hour. So did you find something?
No.
Huh?
Sorry, I guess I'm not much of a scientific investigator after all.
Is that all?
Please don't be mad. I'm just a high school student. I tried my best.
I'm just an attorney.
But Mr. Wright, those traces of blood are the only clue we have. If we can't find something wrong with them, please, Mr. Wright, you're a professional. If anyone can save Lana, it's you.
Me? Oh, boy.
Time's up. Now then, Mr. Wright. With regard to the incident in the police department, does any reasonable doubt remain?
It appears the defense is troubled by the other blood mark. Looking at the floor plans, a handprint was discovered around here. Is there a problem with this?
Mr. Wright, I'm sorry I can't be of more use. But still, if you can't find anything wrong with that blood mark, Lana will be...
Please answer my question, Mr. Wright. We don't have all day.
Yes, Your Honor. If I ever needed to concentrate, it's now. What could be wrong with that handprint on Detective Gumshoe's locker? Could there be something I'm missing? Oh yeah, there's a problem. By the way, friends, I'm starting to think, because it is now 11:30 Central, 12:30 Eastern, where we started, on time, and we are now 3.5 hours into the stream. I'm beginning to think that... Hold that thought. Sorry. Welcome, Raiders! How you doing on this fine Tuesday evening? Good evening and welcome. My name is Shadow Temple. Welcome to Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, Case 5, Rise of the Phoenix, where we are trying to figure out why there's a bunch of blood in this locker room. Is pretty much what's going on. Okami Hylia, what are we up to? What are you streaming? What's happening? Friends, if you don't already know Okami Hylia, be sure to check out their channel. Fellow member of the Zeldathon community, fantastic streamer. Go check them out, please. If I could get a mod doing a shout out there. Thank you. Perfect. Yes. What I was just going to say before you guys were coming in. I want to finish this case before Zeldathon. Because of that, and because I'm going to a wedding starting on Thursday and going through Saturday, and I'm leaving for Zeldathon before I can stream on Monday, Yeah, I've only got one more stream left, technically, if I keep to my normal schedule and only do a stream on Sunday. Because of that, we are not going to be playing Zelda tomorrow. We're going to be playing Ace Attorney tomorrow as well. There's just no way. There's no other way to do it. Oracle of Seasons is fun, but I wasn't going to finish that run through anyway. So tomorrow is going to also be Ace Attorney. I'll post about it on social media and Discord tomorrow, just to be clear. But we will be playing Ace Attorney Wednesday as well, and then we'll finish it on Sunday. The main issue here is that I'm looking at, again, I'm not cheating, but I am looking at a guide to try to figure out how to gauge this. According to the guide, we are halfway through this case. We're on the backside of halfway, but we are halfway. And that's a problem, as you could possibly imagine. So I need probably at least 2 more streams to finish this case. Yeah, we're currently on Day 3 Trial Ladder. The guide also then has Day 3 Investigation, Day 4 Trial Former, Day 4 Trial Ladder, and Day 4 Trial Ladder 2. So yeah, we definitely need at least 1 more stream to finish this thing. So it is a big case. Definitely spend more than 9 hours on this case. Yeah, if you're mainlining it and you're not voice acting it, sure. I just, it takes me long to play games like this. Regardless, let's see if we can get to the end of this day here in court, because I think that'll set us up pretty well for finishing this up. I want to tie off this loose end and get a good cliffhanger going. I object! This handprint left at the crime scene clearly shows a contradiction. The only thing that seems clear is you're grasping, Mr. Wright.
You've been staring pretty intently at those floor plans. Tell me, is there a problem with them?
Yes, this is strange. Take a good look at these floor plans. Something is missing.
Missing? It means something hasn't been drawn on there.
Yes, something that, when drawn, will completely change the meaning of the blood mark.
Let us pray the defense isn't simply trying to buy time. It's lunchtime, jeez. Very well, Mr. Wright.
With all this evidence here, there's got to be something I can use.
The question is, which item can prove something is missing in the floor plans?
Our good friend, the Blue Badger, should be right in front of that blood stain. But he ain't there.
What about that piece of plywood?
The Blue Badger, mascot of the police force, defender of truth, guardian of proof, also heckin' cutie.
Explain yourself, Mr. Wright.
Please look at the floor plans of the crime scene. The Blue Badger is not there.
So?
So watch what happens when we put him in. This is where he was dancing at the time of the crime. Well?
Well, what?
Now you're getting it, Edgeworth. Hey, Savvy Minecraft Roblox, how you doing? That's right. So long as the Blue Badger is dancing there, it would be impossible to place a handprint at this spot on the locker.
What? So that means, just what exactly does that mean?
It means it can't be done.
What are you saying? Blood traces were undeniably found in that locker.
Don't look at me, I didn't put it there.
Mr. Wright, think it through scientifically.
Emma.
On that afternoon, Officer Meekins was the one who brought the Blue Badger to the evidence room, right? After he put it down, it'd be impossible to leave a handprint on that locker.
So that must mean this blood mark was left there before the Blue Badger was brought in.
Just one moment. I will not allow such far-fetched balderdash in my courtroom.
It may sound far-fetched, Your Honor, even balderdashery, but it's the only possible explanation. On February 21st, in the police department's evidence room, Blood was spilled not once, but twice.
But how?
One time was captured on this tape, taken by the security camera. Officer Meekins cut his hand, from which a trivial amount of blood fell. The problem is, the other time. Yeah, it's blocked the whole time. We can't see it. We can't see it. Someone bled prior to the struggle shown on this tape. It had to have been Detective Goodman when he was really murdered.
It's ridiculous. I refuse to accept your absurd claim.
The murder portrayed in the security tape has proven to be a fake. However, that does not explain the blood mark found on the locker.
So then, assuming this murder you purport really happened, when did it take place? I demand you to show evidence that proves when it occurred.
When did the first incident occur?
To summarize, the defense claims that prior to Officer Meekins being cut by Jake Marshall, who was posing as Detective Goodman, another incident took place in that evidence room. Boy, this is getting complicated.
That's right. The blood mark on the locker proves this.
Very well, then tell us. When did this first incident occur? As Mr. Edgeworth said, proof must be presented.
Proof that shows when the murder took place. There's only one piece of evidence that can show that.
Now then, will the defense please present its evidence? What shows when the first crime took place?
You know, friends, we've been staring at this thing for a long time. We haven't quite ever figured out what exactly this thing is connected to. But for whatever reason, we have this time at 4:20 p.m. on February 21st that we don't have a name to. And something tells me it might be something involved in this. If the crime took place inside the evidence room, then the killer would have had to enter it. And in order to do so, an ID card would have been required.
An ID card? Oh, the ID card record.
Officer Meekins brought the Blue Badger panel into the evidence room at,
let's see here, 4:50 p.m. If the crime took place before that time, then it would be 4:40. Miles Edgeworth? Just what have you done?
Never would have figured you had the nerve, boy. Drop the act, witness. Doesn't take a lot of thought to figure out it couldn't have been me. Nope, I ain't getting it.
I'm afraid I don't understand either.
It's clear from the luminol test that blood was there. However, when the second crime took place, both Officer Meekins and Officer Marshall failed to notice the blood. That means the blood from the first crime was wiped away by the real murderer. Would have had just 10 minutes to murder the victim, carry his body away, and clean up the blood. Unfortunately, that's physically impossible.
That would mean the crime must have taken place before Mr. Edgeworth entered the evidence room.
Wow. Either that or he's very good. Have you considered that? What if he's just really good? Let's look at the chart again. There's only one other card number remaining. 7777777. Talk about a lucky number.
But wait, that doesn't make sense. How could Detective Goodman have entered the evidence room?
Since there's no record of his card being used beforehand, he must have entered along with the real murderer. That's the only plausible explanation. He went in with 7777777.
Mr. Edgeworth, please look into this ASAP. Find out whose ID number is 7777777.
That's 17 too many, Your Honor. I noticed that because I had like a rhythm in my head to get the 7 sevens correctly. And then I looked at the text and I was like, wait a minute, that's 8 sevens. Good on you, Edgeworth, keeping an eye out.
Unfortunately, I'm unable to look up the owner of that ID card. At least at present.
What?
Explain yourself, son.
The ID number 7777777 belongs to someone with a rank of captain or higher. Someone who's a so-called executive officer. We don't have the authority to inquire into such a person's identity.
That sounds like a bad system. You should be able to have oversight over executive when it comes to security. But that's ridiculous. Just how?
I'm not finished talking, Mr. Wright. There is one situation in which we can be granted such authority.
If an official charge filed against an executive is accepted.
An official charge?
You're all alike, aren't you? With your cover-ups and your forgeries. That's how the prosecutor's office operates.
I take pride in my work, Officer Marshall. I'd appreciate it if you would keep your slander to yourself.
Slander, is it? Okay. Let me ask a question.
Yes?
No, not to you. To her. Defendant sitting over there. Your own little executive.
But Lana?
Don't be stupid. She's been charged with murder. Of course we've looked into her upper number, and it's not 777777.
Don't play me for a fool, partner. That's not what I want to ask. All I want to know...
Getting these voices confused this late in.
All I want to know is one thing. About that incident.
The SO9 incident?
Answer me this, Chief Prosecutor. In that trial 2 years ago, did you really only use legitimate evidence?
Do you need the witness to repeat his question, Chief Prosecutor?
I heard him fine, Mr. Edgeworth.
2 years ago, I was in charge of the prosecution for that trial. At the time,
Occasionally, we felt the powerlessness of the law. At least, I did.
Lana!
I became a prosecutor in order to suppress crime with the law. But before I realized it, we were the ones being suppressed by the law.
Defendant, just what are you saying?
I'll ask you again, Chief Prosecutor. During that trial 2 years ago, did you really present all the evidence in court? When you look me, an investigator in that crime, in the eye, and say that you did.
Chief Prosecutor, you didn't.
I don't have to, Officer Marshall.
why wouldn't you answer him?
Drastic crimes require drastic measures. That's just the way it is. We did what we had to, in order for him to get the verdict he deserved.
But Lana!
Even if it involved forging evidence.
Uh-oh! And that is where we're going to leave it off for the night. Thank you all so much for watching here tonight. We will be back to more Ace Attorney tomorrow night, 9-ish p.m. Eastern. I'm not going to make such guarantees on this one as I did last time, but now that we have 2 streams instead of 1 more stream to finish this up, I feel a lot more comfortable just kind of cutting it off here and just rolling into 2 normal streams. I think we're okay if we do 2 more streams, but I knew for a fact we wouldn't finish it in 1. So once again, friends, we are not going to be playing Zelda tomorrow. We are instead going to be playing Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney tomorrow night, 9-ish p.m. Eastern. Then you will not see me again on Twitch until Sunday, 9 p.m. Eastern is when I'm going to be streaming the finale of this. After that, I will not be live on this channel for a week. Instead, you should be going off and following twitch.tv/Zeldathon, where I'll be out there along with about 100 other nerds trying to raise money for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. I'm going to be a part of a bunch of different bits and gigs and gags and all sorts of fun stuff. Be sure to check that out, friends, because it's going to be very good. I'm very excited for it. So, yeah. Can't wait to see your reactions. Well, thank you, Kami. Now, to be clear, I have played this game before, but it was 2001, 2002 when I last... No. I did stream this before, too, I think. But even then, that was 8 years ago. So I remember generally how this goes, but I don't remember reactions and details or voices and things like that. So I'm very excited about that. So yeah, we'll find out exactly what Lana Skye was up to. We'll find out who is actually the killer inside the evidence room, and who exactly. My theories, and I imagine you have yours as well.